Hey everybody, today we're going to clean that MAF sensor, but first we're going to take that hood all the way to the top. We're going to max it out. And so we're going to start on the driver's side. There's going to be a little button that you're going to press at the base of the hood right there. You're going to go ahead and press that button, lift the hood up a little bit. Then you're going to go over to the passenger side and you're going to press that button as well. And then you're going to take the hood all the way to the top. From there, you're going to wait until the buttons click into place. Watch, just like this. And then it's just going to lock in, and then you're going to have your hood maxed out. So it's going to look like this. It's going to be just sky high. Now, when you're ready to close the hood, you'll just go back to the driver's side and you'll hit that button again, and then you can just bring the hood down. So you'll just hit it, bring the hood down, and you don't have to worry about going to the passenger side again because there's not a lock on it. It's just there. So go ahead and bring it back down when you're ready and you're done. All right, so now let's get started. Okay, here are the tools that you'll need to clean your MAF sensor. You'll need heavy duty silicone, mass airflow cleaner, or you can just use electrical parts cleaner. It's not a big deal. They're both the same. I've used them both. Doesn't make a difference. You can also just use the electrical parts cleaner on the electrical terminals. But other than that, they're both the same. Wouldn't worry about it. You'll need some type of pry bar and a little Scotch-Brite pad to clean that throttle body, which I'll show you later in this video. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove that terminal that connects to the MAF sensor. Right there, just go ahead and pinch those tabs and pull it out, and then tuck it under the wire loom just so that it stays out the way. Sometimes if you don't do that, it'll want to spring back. Next, where you see these pink arrows, follow that hose and it should take you all the way to the MAF sensor. You want to remove that hose from the MAF sensor, not from the valve cover. So take a pry bar, go ahead and gently work with it. You just want the pry bar to meet the edge of the hose where it meets the MAF sensor. And then just go ahead and slowly pry it apart. You don't want to use too much pressure. Sometimes these hoses are really old. They've never been touched before, so they might crack. So you want to just kind of be gentle and take your time. There's no rush. Hopefully, you're not working on a customer car or anything like that. You're working on your own car. So there's no rush. You got your music playing in the background and you're having a lot of fun. Okay, now that we have everything removed, we're going to come over to the passenger side, and it's just going to be easier to work with on that side. And you see that little pink button down there, that little button with the pink dot? Okay, so I'm going to explain that. On the bottom portion of the MAF sensor, you're going to have this tab that you need to press. And you want to press it, and you're going to feel a slight click. It's not going to be too obvious, but you will feel that it's going to kind of like make this kind of separation. Now you want to press that first, and then that way that'll allow you to remove the MAF sensor. And then the tab on the top right here, that connects to the top of the throttle body. But when you press the bottom tab and you kind of lift down and up like this motion right here, then you'll be able to remove the MAF sensor a lot easier rather than just pulling straight back. So now I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm purposely just kind of taking my time, over exaggerating it, really being gentle with this MAF sensor, only because a lot of tabs on here are plastic and they can break. And the last thing you want is a broken tab, because then you're not going to feel good, even though it still may work and it might not be too big of a problem, but you don't want broken things, right? Okay, so just be gentle, take your time, work with it, small movements. Just kind of, you can move these tabs at the top right here, these little clips. These clips kind of clip in to the top of the motor, the engine. So just kind of play with them, pull them out if you need to. Just don't use too much force. You can separate. There's a little clip right there in the middle. You can see where they kind of join together, and sometimes that will come open. I don't like to open that and take it off just because sometimes it can be a pain in the butt to clip it back together. You'll see later in this video that it does come apart, and then I just get some pliers and I clip it back in. It's really simple, but sometimes it can be a pain in the butt and you don't need to do that. It's just one extra step. So just keep playing with it. And also when you do remove it, when you get it removed, you're going to rotate it clockwise to the right, 90 degrees. You see that sensor where the sensor mount is. You're gonna rotate that sensor toward the engine because that's the best way for it to come out without any complications. And then you can just see here, I mean, you can kind of just like examining it, see if any of the tabs are broken or anything like that, checking for oil and stuff like that. So now we have our MAF sensor out. Okay, so that rubber seal, once again, we're just looking, we're inspecting it to make sure the seal's nice and good, nice and clean, not broken, hasn't deteriorated. We don't need to buy a new one. Now, you see this clip right here? That clip, you're going to want to pull back and then start to separate the two bodies. It is actually two bodies. So you want to pull back the clip, start separating the body until that clip is kind of off of the body, and then you can start pulling it apart. And you see here, once again, just taking my time, not using too much force, just playing with it, and then it'll pop out just like that. Okay, so now we can set our MAF sensor, which is on the right, aside, and then this is the bottom portion of the MAF sensor. Once again, we're inspecting it. We're looking at this valve right here, the rubber seals, and we're going to clean up those seals and the little valve on the side, and then we're going to spray it with heavy-duty silicone, and this is going to help tremendously when we put everything back together. And also in the future, when we want to remove this again, it won't be so difficult to remove because that silicone is kind of helped out. Okay, so now we have our MAF sensor. We're taking a look at it. You can see this is the back side of it. The front side is right here. See that little wire inside there? The little vertical wire? That's your sensor. That's your hot film sensor. Now you want to take your electrical parts cleaner or your MAF cleaner, get a straw in there, and stick it through that mesh. You don't want to remove the mesh. The last thing you want is to touch that hot film sensor. It'll cause a nightmare. So just go ahead and stick your little needle through the mesh, clean it, and then you're good to go. Let it dry. Now while it's drying, take that heavy-duty silicone, go ahead and spray the rubber seals. You don't want to spray the seals while the MAF sensor is connected because that spray will go back up into the MAF sensor, and then that can stick onto the hot film sensor, and then you might have problems later. So go ahead and spray those 3 areas, and then now we can put it back together. Remember, we got to make sure that MAF sensor is nice and dry. So once it's dried, go ahead and connect everything back together just like this, and you'll see just with that heavy-duty silicone, it just slides right in. Perfect. And then you'll see this sensor right here, the pins. You can go ahead and spray that with electrical parts cleaner or MAF sensor cleaner, doesn't matter. Okay, now here's the throttle body. The throttle body is another thing that you want to clean, and you want to take that little piece of Scotch-Brite pad that I showed earlier, go ahead and push the plate from the bottom in like you're walking into the throttle body. So push it down and then hold it there with your fingers and go ahead and clean that up. Okay, so now we have our MAF sensor. It's nice and clean and we're ready to install it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come in from the driver's side and just kind of sit it in there, get it situated. And that hose that we removed earlier, it's real stiff, doesn't want to go anywhere. So try to move that hose if you can and just kind of like move it off to the side, get it around the MAF sensor. It'll make it a little bit easier. So once again, we're just kind of playing with it. We're moving those tabs around. We're just being gentle. We're being patient, taking our time just to get everything right. We don't want to rush this because at this point we can still break something. Those plastic tabs are sensitive and delicate, but not too delicate. They are strong, but we just don't want to take any chances, right? Okay, so we're playing with that hose a little bit. We got everything nice and situated. See right here, the tab came open and I just clipped it back in. So if that happens, go ahead and take some pliers, needle nose pliers, clip it back in. Okay, now we're just kind of inspecting it. I'm going to come around to the passenger side, take one final look, check it out, make sure everything's good. Okay, check, looks good. All right. And lastly, we'll plug in our terminal and connect our hose, and we're all set. So that's pretty much it, and see you guys next time.